Meeting order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Stewey.
Present.
Mr. Dilia.
Here.
Mr. Donahue.
Here.
Mr. O'Day.
Here.
Mr. Schmidt is absent. Mr. Sullivan.
Here.
Mrs. Romero.
Here.
Notice of this meeting was provided to the Bernardsville News, Courier News, and the Star Ledger, filed with the municipal clerk, and posted on the municipal bulletin board on December 12, 2017. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this point in the meeting, the mayor and council welcome comments from any member of the public to help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit the opportunity for anyone who wishes to be heard. Speakers shall limit their comments to 5 minutes. If reading from a prepared statement, please provide a copy and email a copy to the clerk's office after making your comments, so it may be properly reflected in the minutes. Anyone from the public? Seeing none, Mike, you're next on the agenda.
Where do you stand there?
Yeah, come on up.
Great seeing you.
Just wants you to know Mike was playing golf all day, so it's
So if I'm
all
all red in the
sunburned.
face, don't get too close, but that was a great day out there.
Yeah, we're not used to the sun anymore.
Yeah. Want me to say a few words?
Sure, say a few
Yeah,
words. We're
so-
members of the partnership for a few years now, so.
It's been a while since I've been here, so I think it's a great idea to reconnect. I know some of you are new to the Bernardsville Borough Council. My name's Mike Kerwin. Been my honor to serve on the business partnership since 2009. Briefly, what we are, we're kind of a unique Somerset County organization. We organize as a Chamber of Commerce. We're going to be celebrating our 100th year next year. We invite you to participate in that. It's going to be a great party. A number of years ago, at the leadership of Johnson & Johnson, specifically big businesses, wanted a seat at the table. So we formed an organization at that point. Those companies are still part of us. They include Verizon, which we have a soft spot in our hearts, because when Verizon did the 5G, they selected 10 basically cities throughout the United States and one small town. And we got the call, remember, Mayor?
Yes.
Letting us know. And we, frankly, I thought they were going to say Bernards Township, so when they paid, when they selected Bernardsville, that was great news, because we think that gives everyone a competitive advantage, specifically Bernardsville. But that's the kind of dialogue and support that we want to maintain with companies such as Verizon. We also partner with the Somerset County freeholders to provide economic development and workforce. So that makes us unique because we're a public-private partnership. That's fairly common throughout New Jersey, or throughout the United States, but not too common in New Jersey. It kind of makes us unique. Coming out of the Great Recession, we work closely with the freeholders to kind of restore our competitive position. Somerset County really didn't have to work very hard to get the major companies to come out of here. That changed in 2008. Working hard with the freeholders and municipal partners such as Bernardsville. We think we were successful in getting things turned around, culminating with Nestle came here. And Nestle is the world's largest maker of food. And they announced that they could have gone anywhere in the world. And after a 2-year search, they selected Bridgewater, Somerset County. Ironically, the same place that Sanofi had left to go to Cambridge. We declared victory. Not really sure if that was the start of a trend or not. It turned out, fortunately, that was a trend. Mellencrot came to Bedminster. Daiichi came to Basking Ridge, right? And so on, up and down to 287. So we were in good shape at that point. That goes back a year or two ago. So where we are now, where we'd like to continue our partnership, is how do we keep the momentum going? So we reached out to some of these companies, specifically the ones that came here, and said, okay, how do we keep you happy? And they all said the same thing. It's all about talent. keeping the talent and attracting the talent. So that became our focus. So what's in their handout is some of the things that we're doing. Since we also, in addition to our economic development, we partner with the state of New Jersey to do tourism. So we cover a lot of ground. So we started putting together these tools like that destination guide, which is on your left. So if you're trying to attract talent from, say, France, wherever, they now have some resources they can use. And then we put together a toolkit, and we put a toolkit on your right-hand side, customized for Bernardsville, kind of give you an idea of some of the other tools that we're working on. So Bernardsville, of course, is in a great position because your school district is fantastic. So that's one of the things we promote. So we're kind of on a roll right now. We've got a Biz Fest, which is our small business expo. That's this week. We expect to get about 500 people for that. And then the other thing that we're doing to keep the momentum going, and this is kind of like shamelessly pat myself in the back. Yeah, you just got it right there. You got a piece of paper right in front of you. When we lost a couple companies to Cambridge, it was because of the synergy they wanted to create with MIT and Harvard. That's what successful economies do. So we encourage the state of New Jersey to reach out to our higher ed partners, and frankly, they didn't do it. So we got tired of waiting, so the Somerset County Business Partnership reached out, and I'm proud to say we're successful in getting Rutgers to join our partnership, NJIT, and Princeton. Now, if you would have told me for the last 20 years that Princeton University would be joining the business partnership, I would say forget it. But it's a new world. So now we got all three of them in. So we're bringing them together next week at Duke Farms. That gives us a competitive advantage because no other county has done that, as far as I can tell, in New Jersey. So that's going to be a big boost. So we're kind of pumped up about that, and specifically, I like Bernardsville. I think you're a very unique town. I like your downtown. I like your railroad station. I like the estates on the hill. I like the Audubon. I like the Bernards Inn for a cocktail. They're a very unique, special place. The brand for Somerset County is called Making Vibrant Connections. We're trying to make it vibrant connections, or keep on going there.
Yes, we are.
That's right.
Yes, we are.
And that's what a business partnership is all about. That's what we're trying to do with Higher Ed. It's all about making vibrant connections. So.
And you guys are always available for us
Absolutely.
anytime we need anything. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask Mike now.
Sure.
I mean, I'm just interested in what we can do to kind of coordinate well with you guys.
So I have a great relationship with the mayor. I'd like to start to get to know you better anytime you want me to come up for any event. But just to give you an idea of what we can do. If you're ever applying for a grant, if you want a letter, ask us. We ask the question, how are towns successful in getting money? And the answer is pretty direct. The first question, particularly the feds, are you a member of a public-private partnership? Yes. You are a member of the Somerset County Business Partnership. Check. The second question is, and this gets a little technical, but is your project supported by a comprehensive economic development strategy, affectionately known as a SEDS? That's something we did on behalf of the freeholders a number of years ago, that they incorporated into their Somerset County Economic Development Plan. But if we can reference that, you get points. Let me give you an example. Further down the hill, Cyanide, Superfund site, the old Union Carbide, along 22, the railroad there. They've been trying to clean this site up for decades. The DEP couldn't do it. The EPA had to step in. They're having a hearing tomorrow on finally taking the next step to get it done. So they want me to speak. So it's one thing for me to say, okay, I'm the head of the local chamber, I think it's a great idea. Not that that would be no little thing, but no, I say I'm the local chamber. And furthermore, this project is endorsed by a federally approved agency of government, the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. Therefore, take that in consideration and get this project moving. And now I'm talking to the feds. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it works. So we'd happy to do that with you as well.
Great.
So are we part of this, or do we?
Yes.
So but just because we're a part of Somerset County, or is it something you need
Yeah,
from us
you
specifically?
specifically, what we ask is that you would give us a small investment to contribute toward the greater cause, frankly. I think it's $1,250 if I,
Yeah.
every town is a member, except for a couple of very small ones like Rocky Hill. The Bernards and Bedminster, Peapack, and Watchung and Warren. And that's what the partnership part of it comes.
And we are a partner right now?
Yes.
We are, yes. We've been for about 7-8 years.
Yeah, yes. And I don't want to be presumptuous. I knew that there were some new members of the council. I want to pay my respects, answer any questions you have. But I think it's important for me. It's frankly not so much money, but I want to be able to say, when I do advocate to Princeton or Rutgers or NJ, listen, we do things special here at Somerset County. We're all part of the same team. We practice what we call the culture of collaboration. And it's validated by the fact that every town in the county is a member of the business partnership. That makes us unique. When people hear that, I go, whoa. So
Yeah.
I think it helps our effectiveness.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can help you as well.
And you're a great resource anytime we have questions
Yeah.
about tourism or anything, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Always available.
And we're straight shooters, so
Yeah.
we don't strictly bipartisan.
Well, I have a question
Sure.
actually. So one of the things that we discussed in our last council meeting was a way to provide businesses looking to open here with like a quick guide.
Yes.
Something to get new businesses to fill our
Yes.
vacancies. And I noticed in what you handed out that there's business resources available, and one of them is assistance in permitting and approval process. So what is that?
Well, we actually did work with several towns over the last several years and probably require a follow-up. But the number one thing you can do is, we don't advocate for you to bend the rules. What we do advocate is to make it business friendly.
Exactly.
And so we can give you some guidelines on how you can do that, particularly for a small town. If you're a big town like Bridgewater, they got a lot of full-time people. When you're a smaller town, I'm from Somerville, so I used to be a mayor of Somerville.
You did that in Somerville.
Right. So I hear where you're coming from. So how do you make that work? So I think the easy thing would find a point person that would be willing to kind of help navigate the permitting. I guess you're nominated.
Well, I mean, we,
Yeah, but
yeah,
there's some tools we can share with you. Be happy to meet. Well, what I would suggest we do is, if you're interested, we can follow up in a meeting, and I'll bring John Mannix.
Sure, that'll be great.
Yeah, see what other towns have
Yeah,
done, and
right.
then, I mean, we were thinking of specifically something on our website that would be like a one-stop
Yes.
shop for
Yes.
people to gather information or to review frequently asked questions.
Yes.
And it wouldn't do anything for them except help them streamline an existing process.
Exactly. So, there's my favorite saying about economic development, it's not rocket science. It's a lot of like simple, that may sound like a simple thing,
Yeah,
but if you're trying to navigate the process, it's helpful.
yeah.
So your instincts are right on. Just make it easy, make it simple. How do you do it? What's the process? Where do you go? And you don't have to, you're right, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So that would be great.
so that would be something that's included in our membership.
Oh,
that we
absolutely.
already
Yeah,
have.
sure.
Okay,
Definitely.
that's great.
I'm glad you asked. So, that's exactly what we want to do.
Great. Yeah.
And you have great office space to visit too, so it's
Well, that was my
nice
baby.
setup, yeah.
Our landlords Advance, who did the Center of Excellence in Bridgewater, we negotiated a 10-year lease and we got really nice offices. So if you ever need a place to have a little retreat, you want to come down from the hill and go down there, let us know. One more thing before I forget. This is a really cool project. So the regional center, which is Bridgewater, Somerville, and Raritan, had a few extra dollars. They didn't know what to do with it, frankly. They decided to give us a special grant. Now, I'm not sure this would affect, well, who knows, maybe it would, but if you're a company now looking to grow in New Jersey, and you apply for an economic incentive grant from the state, EDA, the first question they ask is, where you going? Now, if you're going to an urban area, you're going to get approximately $5,000 a job. And if you're going somewhere else, in between, maybe it's $4,000 a job. They say that if you're coming to Bernardsville, you would get $3,000.
Okay.
However, the fine print basically says you're not getting nothing. So they're not creating incentives for job creation and investment. I think we're getting, frankly, the short end of the stick. So we know that in the new administration that's come in, by the way, this is a bipartisan, because I ran this by Assemblyman Fryman and Swicker, and both are fully on board. We know that Governor Murphy is looking at these incentive programs. So we've engaged a boutique law firm to kind of make a case to amend it in a way that helps Somerset County as a whole. And we're pretty pumped up over that. Because I think it's time to be a little more assertive.
Yeah, the governor is investing a lot.
Yes.
Immediately.
Right. So, you know, like I said at the beginning of our discussion, and in good old, when we first started our career, Somerset, everybody was coming. You didn't have to market Somerset County because they were coming. 287 came out here in 78, different world. So now we got to be a little more assertive.
Yes.
So anyway, when that report comes in, I'll be happy to share that with everybody. Come up here and want a presentation on that as well.
Thank you.
I also sent, I looked at your website today and sent our events, because it says that we can put our events on your page.
Sure, yes. We have a community, not only that, you can come to our events, which are fun.
Yeah.
So we're a chamber, so we have networking events, educational events, and this goes not only for all your borough employees as well. But we honor Diana Seberg, who's retiring. I visualized with a networking thing at the Palace, you know where the Palace is down there? Open bar, great food, late May evening, $10. It was nice.
And that's where you had your luncheon last year with
Yes.
your business partnership. Right. They showed all the development
We
and the
invite you to
developers
that
in the
as
county.
well.
It was really great.
If there's one event I encourage you to go to, is that one. That's going to be around December 10th or so. I don't recall the exact date. But that's about 500 people, and that's where we call it like the gathering of the tribes. Everybody's there. So that's where we're going to kick off our 100th anniversary.
Okay. And Verizon had good attendance
Yes.
just with the 5G.
And if
Got
you
a
want
whole
to sit at their
table of
table, we can
executives.
make that happen.
And I don't know how I got there with reserved seats.
Well, that's how it works. So Verizon, you know, Kevin, right, Mayor was there.
Yeah.
I go, he's got to sit at the Verizon table.
Right.
Thank him for putting the 5G.
All right, so any more questions, folks?
Yeah, sounds great.
Do you have a card?
Yeah, sure.
I was gonna ask that.
Oops, I don't. So, right off the golf course. Can you share my contact information?
Okay.
My apologies.
Thanks for everything.
So I think it's a good idea, and I think for our next meeting, we'll put it on the agenda, Anthony, to renew our membership. Is that okay, Mike?
Yes,
Good.
great.
Very good.
Wonderful. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Let's follow up. Any follow-up questions that come up, let me know.
I'll probably talk to you tomorrow sometime.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next time, bring a card.
You handed them all out on the golf course today.
Yeah, that was networking. Yeah, never stops. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to items of business. 6A, ordinances. Jack, you want to say something first? I'll open a public hearing on ordinance.
If I may,
Sure.
At the last meeting, or two meetings ago, actually, you, the council, introduced this ordinance 18-1772 about the zoning regulations necessary to implement the borough's Mount Laurel Settlement Agreement with the Fair Share Housing Center. After that meeting. Dan Levin, who's here tonight, and Randy Gosman from the CGZH attended the planning board meeting and met with them for 3 hours. Christine happened to be there as well, and went through the ordinance line by line, and they made a number of changes, none of which in my opinion is substantial. I'll go through them briefly if I may, and then I would ask you to amend the ordinance by motion to amend the ordinance to reflect those changes suggested by the planning board. And in light of the fact that I don't think any of them make substantial changes, they're really clarifications and things like that, that I believe you could adopt the ordinance tonight if you wish, rather than continuing the public hearing. Dan is here to answer questions. The individual components of the ordinance, I should say, and working it together after the planning board met. So a lot of these changes are redundant because, as you know, the ordinance created the various affordable housing zones for the different mechanisms that we're using to meet the non-oral obligation under the settlement agreement. So a lot of them are repeated from section to section, and I'll just point those out. If you go to page 13 of the ordinance, in section 13-2.3, required conditions for the R10A district, you'll see in subparagraph A3, maximum height of building. No building shall exceed a height of 2.5 stories or 35 feet, and the planning board added whichever is lesser. And I believe that was always the intent. And if you go to, there really aren't that many from this stuff, think about it. Looking as I scroll through here. Almost all the changes were in the sections creating the new affordable housing zones. Sorry, the ordinance, I think, is 56 pages. So. If you go to page 39 of the ordinance, you'll see in section 12-17, 1.1.2, which deals with the AH03 affordable housing district. In subparagraph H, it provided that the maximum number of dwelling units shall be 32 units per acre, producing 80 rental units, which shall include 15% or 12 units for affordable rental. And the planning board suggested we add the shall include because they wanted to make sure that that zone included 15 affordable units. They didn't want somebody coming in and developing it and not meeting the minimum requirement because then we'd have to make it up somewhere else. And then also in paragraph I, which is actually a new paragraph, they added there shall be a minimum of 3 affordable family rental units for every 24,000 square feet of lot area. And again, that was to make sure that the number of units were built so that we didn't have to come up with another location later. Under design standards, and this carried through in all the various ones, they just wanted to clarify, you'll see in section B, new buildings shall relate to existing buildings and other structures in the vicinity, and they deleted a section which said building facade shall endeavor to provide a new design element to the borough and not seek to replicate the existing facade design in the area. The planning board felt that was confusing and also inconsistent with some of the other sections, and they had a good point. So that was deleted. And they also added, and this also is in every one of these zones, green building strategies are encouraged in the various zones. And I think that was always the intent as well. Also, in a lot of these sections, they set forth a minimum floor area for various size apartment dwellings. For studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms. And all of these sections had 3 or more bedrooms. And the planning board wanted to make it clear that 4 bedrooms weren't allowed in any of these zones. 3 bedrooms was the max. So again, that was just another clarification. And as I said, that's repeated throughout the ordinance. Then on page 42, the same changes are made with respect to the AH04 zone. And skipping down, as I said, I think they're the same changes pretty much throughout, but Dan can correct me. Again, when you go to page 48, we removed any reference to 3 or more bedroom units, just so it's clear that 3 was the max. And also, with respect to design standards, they wanted to make it clear there was a conflict. Article 9-10, which is the borough's general design standard provision, applied, would take precedence over anything inconsistent. And again, the overall developer shall have a compatible design, architectural, and landscaping scheme for the site was removed. That was done throughout. They also added to all these sections large expenses of windows, including curtain wall windows and other design elements not in the human scale are strongly discouraged. They felt that was just incompatible with, you know, the atmosphere of Bernardsville.
Is that it, Jack, or?
Just a couple more, Mayor.
Okay.
Sorry, it's just a long ordinance. They did add all open space shall be designed and landscaped in a way to allow for easy maintenance and limited encroachment onto any public right-of-way. Additional private open space shall be designed in a way that allows for a reasonable level of enjoyment by residents. That was always implied, I think, in the ordinance. Let me see if there are any other changes that weren't already mentioned. I think that covers them all.
Green building strategies?
I think you mentioned that, yes.
Did that, okay.
And it was,
Yeah.
that's carried forward in each of the zones.
Yeah.
The conflict I covered, open space. So those are the changes. If you do have any questions, as I said, Dan is here to answer them. If you don't, I would ask that you adopt those amendments by motion, and then ask the mayor to open up the public hearing on the ordinance as amended before voting on it for final consideration.
Right. Yeah. Jack, you want me to introduce now, or you want
Uh,
Dan to speak?
It's up. Do you guys have any questions, or Dan, if you have anything you'd like to add?
Not at this time, no.
Any questions of Dan? Christine?
There was some mention of minimum requirements for open space, 30% open space.
They're at, previously?
In the ordinance, the one now. Page 14 was the page number that I first saw it.
Okay. Can you, sorry, unfortunately the pagination that I have is different. Can you give me the,
Oh, yeah.
the section?
So this is, you want the, wait. R10 multifamily housing districts,
Okay.
which is 13.2, and then it's
13.2.
13.2. Three. Next page, number 8, B. 8 and 8B, kind of.
8B. So I see 8. open
So this
space
is where it talks about setbacks, height, design, and then it says open space and recreation, exclusive of internal roadways and parking areas, there shall be provided a minimum of 30% of the entire tract for common open space and facilities.
Yep.
Is that something that could be increased?
I'm not sure. This section of the ordinance was drafted some time ago when those parcels were, I think, originally developed. This particular zone, this is the R10A, which I believe is the Motzenbecker site. Fox Hollow Trail, I believe it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, in terms of increasing it, I couldn't say for sure. It'd have to be a separate.
But I think it's already developed, so. This was drafted by David Zimmerman, and
Okay.
as I say, it's an amalgamation of ordinances over the last 10 years, plus new ones prepared by Dan and Randy at CPH.
So are there minimums and maximums for those? And could we always say that we want the max?
In which area? The R10A or the other overlay
In
sites?
all of them?
In the overlays, there are minimums. There are not maximums, to my knowledge.
Yeah, but as part of the site plan approval process, I mean, this is just the ordinance allowing these uses in these various zones. So when the developer comes in and files an application for site plan approval, there'll be negotiations with the planning board as to the exact layout and percentage of open space. They would just have to meet this minimum. But I think these were drafted by David Zimmerman and then by CGP&H to make them economically viable, or else the court probably wouldn't approve them.
Yeah, there were some modifications, particularly as far as open space is concerned, into AHO3, which was the Quimby Lane overlay. That specifically calls out open space, and then I'd have to check each one of these, but I know in AHO4 I'm looking at now, a lot of the open space, because it's predominantly a residential development over time, townhouses and apartments, most of the open space requirements are through setback provisions, side yards, backyards, front yards, things like that.
So like Quimby Lane is a perfect example of a place that could use like a small open space because it's right downtown. So could that be incorporated into this in any way, or are you saying it has to wait until the developer proposes and then we could say we require you to build this park or this whatever?
We can't change it before then, and that reminds me of one thing. We're at the planning board because we really had a gun to our head on this whole thing, because our compliance hearing before Judge Miller was on July 2nd, we thought the best thing to do, because we're going to find other things that have to be cleaned up in here. It's 56 pages, and as I said, cut and pasted from various authors, that we'll have a cleanup work in 3 or 4 months as the planning board and the council goes through and sees things that need to be changed. But at least when we go before the judge on July 2nd, we'll have an ordinance that we adopted pursuant to the settlement agreement. And hopefully if there are any issues or problems or other changes that need to be made, we can take care of them in the next 3 or 4 months.
So it wouldn't be too late to add that kind of.
No, we can always amend the ordinance until such time as a formal application, a complete application is filed. The ordinance will be changed.
Okay.
So I don't understand the logic behind that. The whole idea is to build on units, get it done, move on. Why are we taking part of the parcels of the land and dedicating to open space for parks? That makes no sense.
Well,
we want to meet our commitment and move on. What are we taking parts of the parcel and put it in, making, I don't know what we'd make, put a couple benches and grass down? They're small parcels of land.
right, yeah, I
So
mean.
I don't think we should be taking away units from the property that's going to be developed. I'm concerned about something like that.
Well, if I understand the wording, the original wording that we're reviewing now is wording that pre-existed. We're not talking about adding any wording about open space. The 30% minimum, is that a requirement of the Mount Laurel agreement?
No, it's only, that's the Musselbecker property, Musselbeck property.
So that's an
It predates-
example of something that predates
And that was
this.
also a townhouse or a
Yeah.
condo development, which would have open space, whereas Claremont is really a mixed-use kind of zone.
Okay.
So there'd be less likelihood you'd have open space in that kind of development. I'm not a planner, so, but.
Yeah, the planning board, I think, was fairly strong in their desire to see that area redeveloped, and so the ordinance developed in such a way that would be as enticing to a developer to come in and to build there. So as a result, the open space is worded to such a way that there is a percentage of open space, or not necessarily open space, impervious surface that cannot be covered. So whether it's through a green roof or some other type of mechanism that allows for stormwater.
And then you also have a buffer because there's a stream that runs behind the backside of that.
Sorry, what's that?
There's a stream that runs on the backside, so there's a buffer there that won't be developed.
Right, and so that's included, I think somewhere in the design standards where it talks, we go under building envelope. So I'm looking at 1217 1.12F that recognizes the DEP as having a role there to play as far as the stream buffer and whatnot.
And every developer will have a different design plan anyway, so it'll be just once they submit their proposals, then
I just don't want to take it away the amount of units we're going to build, because then we're going to start looking for more places and we don't have it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm concerned about.
That was the planning board's primary concern.
Yeah.
They wanted to see the number of units built on these sites.
Right. Because as you know, our downtown area, we don't have a lot of, in the sewage area, we don't have a lot of space to build.
Yes.
So we want to make sure we get everything done with what we've discussed, the parcels of land that we've discussed. Okay, that's it for me.
All right.
So as I said, all the changes, the copy of the ordinance is in your packet, it's the red line version, all the changes are shown on there. So if they're acceptable to you, if one of you would move and then second and adopt the amendments, and then the mayor can open the public hearing on the ordinance as amended.
Okay. Entertain a motion to move and adopt the amendments for ordinance 1772.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Merritt. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Anthony, please.
Mr. DeLeo?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Ms. Amer?
Yes.
All right, I'll open a public hearing on ordinance 18772, an ordinance adopting zoning regulations necessary to implement the borough's Mount Laurel Settlement Agreement with Fair Share Housing Center and supplementing and amending various sections of the Borough Code and the Land Development Code, and this includes all the amendments by the Planning Board. Public hearing, anybody from the public? We have our attorney here from Mount Laurel, and Mr. Pigeon. Any other council members? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, entertain a motion to pass on final reading and adopt as published. You have a motion?
And amended.
And amended.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. DeLeo, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Mara. Roll call, please.
Ms. Amer?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, resolutions. We have 18147 through 18153. Any questions on any of the resolutions?
Yeah,
All right, Jeff.
this police officer stuff with the,
Oh, yeah, I was just going to ask Jeff before you get to that. I'm asking that if you vote, because there are a lot of issues still.
yeah. I mean, I think the school district should be here. Somebody from the school district to answer any
Okay,
other
so we'll
questions.
pull 18152.
And of course, we need the chief too. so.
Yes, hopefully we'll have it ready for the next meeting.
Thank you, Jeff.
Too many other issues.
Anyone else? And thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll pull 18152, resolution 18147 to 18151, and 18153.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. DeLeo. I have a second.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Donahue. Roll call, please.
Mr. DeLeo?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Ms. Amer?
Yes.
All right, we have a draft ordinance, 6C, adopting borough facilities naming policies. Everybody have a chance to review and
Yeah, we have a resolution right after the field naming thing that we passed. Why can't we just operate off that? It just keeps coming up, but it's, it seems like we have a basis for making decisions, or at least, funneling decisions to the right committees.
yeah, I think it came from the council that we wanted to adopt.
Well, can we
re-adopt.
just adopt that resolution, introduce that as our ordinance?
What's the council feel about it?
We already passed it.
I think the resolution was including entire fields.
That wasn't on the agenda, so I didn't review what the
Yeah.
previous resolution said. I reviewed what was on tonight's agenda.
And we actually the governing body to create this ordinance. I think it's about the second time around, Jack, or third time around?
Fourth at least.
Fourth at least.
The ordinance is based in
Yeah.
large part on John's resolution. I made several changes to the last draft, including the procedures in 25.3, because before it established a subcommittee, and now it provides that the borough administrator will submit it directly to the council, and if the council wishes, you can seek advice from various committees and boards, but you don't have to. But the ultimate decision will be yours.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to talk about the benches or trees part, because I think this would be a great way for us to kind of refurbish some of the equipment that we have in our parks that may need it without having to spend a lot of money, because, you're giving residents the opportunity to invest in the open spaces that we have in a small kind of way. So, you know, we already talked about Sussman having a bench.
Yes.
Like, it's been done in the past, so if you want to just leave it where it's just, you know, if somebody wants to do it, they call and do it, or we could put it in ordinance form so we can have standards set, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time it comes up, kind of a thing. You know, the
Yeah,
measurement for the
same
plaque,
style,
the
everything,
type
yep.
of bench,
Yes.
like, we decide the bench, and we
Mhm.
decide the plaque, and then it's uniform, like you
Yes.
see at, you know, on
Boardwalk.
the
Yeah.
boardwalk or at Harry Dunham
Yeah.
Park. A lot of parks have like it looks a lot better when it's more uniform and it's
Mhm.
not like, you know, just different benches and different.
So the wording that's currently in here is sufficient for that, you think? Or do you think there needs to be a different wording to make it uniform?
Well, it states that the bench design, the tree species, if you want to donate a tree, the location of the bench is all determined by us, which I like.
Yeah, I like all that.
The cost of design, install, and maintaining is borne by the requester, and, you know, we can pick the materials we want to use, like if we're going to use teak, that way it's not
Yeah,
something you gotta stain every year. I just think to have control over that stuff would make it a lot better and a lot easier
I agree.
That sounds good.
for
I agree.
people.
Well, can we strike 25-4? Because I think the criteria for being, you know, considered is outlined higher up in, you know, in number 1. So to me, it's just like you're encouraging a certain outcome over maybe other outcomes. It just doesn't sit well with me. You know, it needs to be more kind of antiseptic.
Okay.
Well, I guess I don't understand the objection to 25-4. It doesn't seem to exclude anything. It seems to be more of an
But
inclusive statement.
it just seems superfluous. It's just, it's not, you know, I think you lay out above pretty well, you know, the conditions or under what conditions we consider the whole naming thing. So, and let's leave it at that. It just seems politically correct to me as well.
All right, council members?
So you're saying this just the one sentence?
25-4, I mean, I think we keep it just sort of straight and to the point. I think it's makes it, you know, it focuses a lot more, in my opinion.
So 25-4, the borough encourages the submission of names that reflect the heritage, cultural, ethnic, or gender diversity of the community.
Yeah, well, above,
Can we put it above?
well, no, above, we talk about what, you know, what the criteria for being considered, donation, public service, elected official, person who risks his life, so I think that suffices, you know, along those lines. Well-defined connection, I mean, I think it keeps it focused on the point of honoring people who are associated with, you know, contributions they made.
So
But
I would say to, instead of striking it all together, but would be to somehow incorporate it into 25-1, general principles. Because the fact that we're encouraging people to submit names that reflect heritage, cultural, ethnic, or gender diversity of the communities, I just think it's a nice.
I think in many
inclusive
cases,
statement.
this doesn't apply, because really what the people that are submitting are volunteers that have given their, I don't think this applies to this ordinance at all, this whole section. I think it's very
We're
clear
talking
up
about the
top.
one sentence, Jeff?
Yeah, what do we need that for? It's really just volunteers that are committed to the community over the years.
I think, you know,
I mean-
I was trying to think about this as well, because it came up in our last meeting, this same question. And the only thing I could think where something like this might be useful is if, you know, and I'm just making up an example, but the last 3 requests were for baseball coaches, people who volunteer as baseball coaches, and then a 4th or a 5th comes in, it's the same type of characteristic background volunteerism, and, you know, there was an excess of requests compared to available places to name. It would give us a criteria to say, well, you know, the last 5 were baseball coaches, let's go with a football coach this time, or let's go with somebody who was, you know, a volunteer on the fire, or some other area. So I'm just saying, that would be.
I think those are few and far between. I see what you're saying, but few and far between. Because I mean, it's going to be like literally a lifetime service. We've all coached sports, and I'm, anybody's reasonably expecting the fields to be named
The other
after
thing
us.
too is you don't want to pick and choose.
I don't think that this is pick and choose, and I think it's actually saying we want a diversity of.
Well, it'll also be an element of
ideas.
subjectivity no matter what, so. I mean,
It's all subjective, yeah. I don't think it's a harmful sentence to have in the ordinance. I don't think it excludes in any way anybody. I don't think it does that, which was one of the concerns it brought up. I don't think it's excluding anybody to have the sentence.
Well, I don't mind taking it out, but just let it be known that I like it there.
Then you do mind it, do you?
If it means it will go further.
Well, I mean, also, it's just part of the process, just maybe introduce it and see how it falls,
Right, because there's always, the procedure is that the public hearing is gonna come after.
Yes.
Yeah, so you do have that, so it's rather than negotiate it, put the best foot forward and see how it goes.
And I like your point, Christine, to have a standard. So, somebody order. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you guys?
Good. Good.
I'm here from Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, thank you. And welcome to Bernardsville.
You missed the open session, but that's okay.
Hey, he's got donuts,
Yes, I'm not gonna take you guys too long time, but
Is it okay if you,
I'll let him,
If
yes,
I can
okay.
take 2
Yes,
minutes from
we're
you
just
guys?
going over the ordinance here,
I'll
so.
be out here quick.
Okay.
So, first of all, I want to thank you guys for letting us in the community.
Okay, thank you.
And, we've been very helpful. Everybody was helping the town, helped us out with the store. So we're doing the grand opening on the 16th
Okay.
from 10 to 2. So I'm here to
Yeah, we got your
invite all
email.
of you guys come and join. And
thank you.
make sure you tell your friends and family.
And thank you very much,
I met
thank you.
this gentleman before. So you want to hand those out to
Sure.
everybody?
I can get some out there.
Okay, and I bring you some
Thank you. And we'll,
donuts and coffee. I want you guys to wait when we're having a meeting.
thank you. We'll see you on the 16th. Thank you.
This is Saturday, the 16th, 10 to 2.
Oh, you're gonna have
Yep.
extra there,
And
yeah.
it's the entire community, right? Everyone?
Entire community.
Awesome.
You
Thank
can
you.
even call your neighbor towns.
And your ribbon cutting's at 11, I think, on the email, is that
I'm
right?
sorry?
Your formal ribbon cutting is at 11?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, thank you very much.
Good luck. I'm sorry? Your name? Sachin. Good luck to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Now
I have
back
a couple
to-
minor
back
revisions
to
then
our
if we're,
draft, yes.
if we're going on this draft. So in section 25.2, item 5, the cost of the, so this appears to me, although it doesn't have a header, like the next header is monuments and then the next header is benches and trees. This first section, I believe, is talking about facilities or fields, although it doesn't really have a header that says facilities and fields. And so item number 5 says the cost of the design, installation, and maintenance of the facility that is named or renamed pursuant to this section will be determined by the governing body and will be paid by the requester. It kind of implies that let's say we named a building after somebody. The cost of maintaining that building is then on the requester. It seems in this particular section that I think the word facility needs to be changed to something else, if that's what we're truly referring to, like.
I actually think it doesn't belong in there because if you're naming, this is kind of the honorary section as I read it.
Uh-huh.
Whereas if you're naming a field after somebody for the work he or she did, at the initiative of the council, that,
Right, so I would say the cost, installation, and maintenance of any plaque or monument or something that's named and permitted is determined by the governing body. I don't know, to me it read like you name a building after somebody and suddenly they're in charge of maintaining that building from now on.
I agree with you.
All right, so we'll just reword that before we publish it if this passes tonight?
Yeah, you can introduce tonight, and I.
So you want to do monuments, like one?
The design, installation, and maintenance of, I don't know, because it doesn't have a header, so it doesn't say what
Oh, yeah,
this
that's
is
probably
for.
facilities, and
Yeah.
that monuments is,
Right?
This is
Yeah.
facilities and fields, I think,
I
right?
agree.
And maybe change that word facility to memorial or something like that, just meaning that the plaque is the responsibility of the person we name the field after, but not the field.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we can change the cost of design, installation, and maintenance of a plaque or monument for the field or facility that is renamed.
long as it's a pretty high bar, you know, a lot of the conversations seem to suggest that people wanted this to be kind of exceedingly rare. So we don't want to make the nation to be like, I got $250, can, you know, consider, you know, so-and-so. So it's got to be a pretty high bar. I mean, obviously the criteria is high, but you don't want to, you know, someone to wouldn't buy their way into it either if they can, you know, $1,000 shouldn't get you an honor of someone's lifetime of work.
Agreed, this section is meant to be very different from the following two.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I think I had one other thing. Nope, that was it.
John?
No, I'm thinking good for now.
Jeff? Mike? Christine? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to move our draft ordinance adopting borough facility naming policies, which Jack will amend. And we can-
Well, so those changes, you'll be introducing it as revised.
Yes.
So those changes will be in 25.2, the title will be Facilities and Fields. In 25, in section 1,
So that'll be the new section 1, monuments will be section 2,
right.
and benches and trees will then be section 3.
Correct, correct.
And then,
And in paragraph 5, right before monuments, there will read the cost of design, installation, and maintenance of a plaque or monument for the facility, field named or renamed pursuant to the section will be determined by the governing body.
paid by the requester.
Right.
So, we can make a motion to move it as amended.
Yes, well as revised.
So I'm entertaining a motion to remove as revised. Is that a motion?
I'll move.
Mr. Mara, do I have a second?
Sorry, I just have to add one more thing. So
Okay.
under 5, there's a section that's on both of the benches and trees and monuments where it says the borough is not responsible for damage or deterioration of the monument, may be removed at any time for any reason at the discretion of the mayor and the council. That should, I guess, be added under the fields and facilities one too. Do we agree? It's not in that fields and facilities one.
Well, for the reason you mentioned, because I thought about that, you know, if they're not responsible for the maintenance, is that section really appropriate?
Yeah, I would think for a facility, it's probably something that we maintain anyway.
No,
I think it's
I'm saying for the
expenditure
plaque or
of-
monument, like, if it deteriorates over time and we don't have the money to replace it, then
Right, okay.
we're just gonna take it out.
Yep, I can add that in.
Regarding the plaque or monument,
Just the plaque or monument.
yeah.
Right, I'll entertain a motion to move as revised. Christine? Moved by Mr. Mara, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Before you vote, the second meeting will be July,
June 25th,
or June 25th, okay.
at 7 p.m.
Second by Mr. O'Day. And the meeting will be on June 25th, the public hearing, 7 p.m. All in favor?
Just do aye.
Yeah, I think.
Aye?
Yeah, we don't need a roll call now. Ms. Donnie, aye. Mr. O'Day, aye. Jeff?
Abstain?
Abstain? Mike?
we're good.
You're aye? Okay, Christine's aye, very good. All right, ride-wise, Christine, you want to talk about this?
On, let's see, Thursday of last week, Donna Allison from RideWise, she is the representative who came to the council meeting earlier this year to talk about the RideWise program, and she came on Thursday to meet with myself and the police department about about a timeline as to how the program works. So, I'll just let you guys know, and the public as well, that the campaign itself is it's called the Street Smart Campaign. It's a statewide program which is funded entirely by grants, so it's not something that we would be paying for. It's a collaborative effort led by the RideWise members who attended the meeting, the council meeting, Donna, and she has a counterpart that would work directly with Bernardsville to conduct the program. It involves members of the council, including the mayor, any businesses that want to participate or help spread the word about the campaign. But mainly what it's about is to educate and help people understand the best way to make people safe and not get into accidents or pedestrian accidents or any types of accidents in the 2 areas that we're going to designate for focus. So the campaigns last 6 to 8 weeks, and we can make it 6 or we can make it 8, depending on how the police would be mainly working with them on that. There's a pre-campaign observation, which I like. So what they do is come out for about a week to 2 weeks, Donna and this other person that works with her, and they just kind of hide out and watch how things are going and make observations. Now, it's not just like watching, but they collect data on, how many people are jaywalking, who's using, how many people are using the crosswalks and aren't using the crosswalks, what time of day, and that kind of stuff. So they collect data for 1 to 2 weeks, and then for 3 to 4 weeks after that, there's education, outreach, and enforcement where, it starts with education. So if they see somebody jaywalking, a police officer would go up to them and hand them a little informational reminder that they should be using the crosswalks and crossing only when it says walk and stuff like that. The New Jersey Transportation Authority is the agency that developed this program, and it's been implemented in many places, including our neighbors in Morristown who have already done it twice in different locations. So some of the things that we decided were that the best places to do it, the target areas, and I would welcome you guys' input on this, which is the main intersection in town, Olcott, and the 5 Corners. The 5 Corners was brought up, that's Sini, Claremont, and Mine Mount. And that was mainly like during school time. So the timeline for this would coincide with the start of school, essentially, like the pre-observation right after school starts, and then the education part after, around October time. So that's usually a time of year when that's already happening. I don't know if our police department mentioned that they do try to encourage the correct pedestrian activity, especially from kids, especially from high school kids coming off the train that walk to the high school. So there were, the chief is on board with this, but since he was on medical, he couldn't come to the meeting, but he endorsed it earlier in the year, in the beginning of the year. So, I don't know if you guys have any questions about it, or...
Will they address drivers that don't yield it for people to not?
Of course.
Yeah.
Which is...
That's why it's RideWise.
Yeah, so the other things they talked about were, and she said that there are always, in every town that's successful with this, there's always a champion. Sometimes it's the mayor, and sometimes it's a police officer, and sometimes, it could be someone from the school board. Anyone who's really gung-ho about it. It seemed like we have a few in our community, which is good. So I think that part we won't be worried about, because one of the things they said in other towns, like if no one's really like championing it, then it may kind
It's
of
difficult, to get others involved.
get swept under or whatever.
Well, I know you're a champion, so.
I'm going to champion it
I'm
if
a
anyone
partner
wants to
champion.
help me. Feel free. I don't know if anyone has any questions, or if anyone remembers when she came the first time.
Yes, and the police are supportive,
The police,
very supportive.
you know, they see both sides of it, and they're definitely in the, you know, they're the best people to ask about this kind of stuff, because they see it, especially with the pedestrian activity in downtown. She also provided some data, statistics of how many accidents we've already had, and said that, you know, we would be a good candidate for this kind of program. New Providence is doing it right now. And I mentioned Morristown has already done it twice. So that's it.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, just wait for the dates and then we'll be ready to go.
So the anticipated dates are gonna be, right after Labor Day,
Mm-hmm.
and then, but that may change, but that's kind of the area of time that we're looking
Okay.
at.
Any thoughts with concrete construction going on and all the heavy equipment?
So that would be right at the Five Corners, and that was one of the reasons why that particular intersection is a target area, because of a lot of drivers as well as pedestrians. It's hard to know when to go and when not to go because of the way it is.
Yeah, we've discussed this intersection in the past, and when you look at the numbers, there's been few, if any, accidents on the intersection. So people know how to navigate it. They just need to take their time, and they can't come shooting out into the road.
Yeah.
And I think it's gotten a little better now, at least the last couple of months, because the resident that lives on Mine Brook Road on the corner has taken some of his trees
I saw
down.
that, yeah.
So that helps a little bit when you're coming up Mine Mountain, edging onto Claremont, although the big, large tree on the corner is still there. At least you can see a little bit better with the evergreens that are gone. But you just have to take your time through the intersection, and everything's fine. I mean, I live right up the hill, so.
Speed, right?
It's speed.
All speed.
Yep. And
There's
you have
also-
to be
No, when we
respectful for the
pave
other
it, it's
people.
gonna be faster.
Oh,
you know?
There's also a radar sign, which I talked to the police about, that's going in there as well, because that was a county recommendation.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move forward with that recommendation from the county to put the radar speed sign for people coming down Claremont.
And we have a
Which
crossing
is-
guard posted on that street too.
Yeah.
And I don't think, we haven't heard any complaints from them, so I think you just have to take your time through it, and everything works out fine.
Yep.
It's a horrible intersection, but if we put a light there, it's gonna be a mess.
Yeah, this program really, that's not one of the things that they address. It's just mainly pedestrian education and driver education.
You'll get more traffic coming down Olcott, the little street going into Claremont. Just avoid the light at Mine Mountain in that intersection. So you'll see a lot more traffic come down that little lane, Olcott Lane, I think it's called.
in the morning too, Woodland.
In the morning,
They
yeah.
come up Woodland, getting off 202, cutting through.
So yeah, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Transit Hub Pilots Program, Christine, I think you requested this.
Did you write this, Christine?
So earlier this year, I subscribed to that page, or that organization, which is, let's go back. NewJerseyTPA.org. So every year, they accept applications to this Transit Hub pilot program. And it's mainly just a way to improve the train station, again, without having to lay out a lot of the funding for it. Just looking for the, so you guys have the attachments, right? the transit hub
Yeah.
pilot
Yeah, the links.
program at
Yeah.
the top, and it says
Yeah.
March 23rd at the top. So this was just a submission to this pilot program, but we were not selected for it.
Okay.
However, the response from the representative from NJTPA, you'll see, he agreed that that it was a tough decision, and, that we should, I'm looking for the response, sorry.
Was there a response in the agenda?
I think so. I don't think they're linked.
No, it's not linked.
Okay.
They're not linked, they're just here. Posted.
Yeah, so I see your letter, and I see you took a picture and like an ordinance or something from 16.
The links aren't working, Christine.
Okay, so,
It might work on our computer.
the selection criteria I have separately, and I'll just resend it to you guys, but, it's basically, any train station in New Jersey that is in need of kind of a revitalization similar to what ours is. So, the response from them was good, although we did not get selected, but I just wanted to make everyone aware that the program exists and that hopefully, we can revisit it for.
Is it annual or is
for
it?
next year.
Christine, is it annual?
Anything in New Jersey is
Or
kind
is
of tentative, I guess.
If there's funding, it happens. If there's
Yeah,
not,
so, the hope, I think, for them is that, yes, it's annual, but, it's one of those things that I'll be keeping an eye on
So,
to see when it comes up again.
And in their response, they offered a couple other resources that we could potentially investigate as well.
Right, so, he provided his information as a contact, and he also said, that NJTPA provides support for community-driven planning projects, planning for emerging centers, sub-regional planning program, and some other competitive grants also available from NJTPA.
do you know if you have to be selected to be part of the program to be qualified for the grants, or is that like a separate program?
So those are separate programs.
Okay.
So,
Still hope.
maybe if we're seriously looking to improve the train station, I know we're paving the lot and that's in process, right?
Yes. Yes.
we already have our agreement with them. What's this have to do with, Jack? We already have our agreement with them for the train station usage.
Yeah, there's an agreement in place.
Right. So,
Yeah, we get 70% of the
I
rent that
don't-
we collect to maintain the
so I don't
facility.
understand what else they can do for us. A lot of train stations like ours are closed, and ours was boarded up and closed for a long time, and then
Yeah.
they opened it up. So I wonder if that's what this program is, but it doesn't apply to us. I don't know. I guess we'll have to look into it.
It might with some beautification
Yeah.
also, and they might help with that.
Okay, well,
Because we
let's
do
see
have
if-
a lot of,
see if we can
and
get
enough,
some.
a significant amount of repairs that have to be made.
Yeah.
All right, I did get some correspondence, so John, I just got to ask you a few questions if you want to answer them. On the meeting on Monday, did you call the meeting? I know you called me.
No, I did not. They initiated the meeting from, they emailed me saying, when do we come out and meet you guys? So
Okay.
I jumped on that.
So they know you?
Huh?
They know you?
You know what, I went to the website, I found a phone number, wasn't a relevant page, I called them, just said, what's going on with the train station, and I sent an email. It said, send an email with your questions, and I pretty much did that, and I followed up for a while, and they emailed back and say, hey, why don't we come out and meet you? And
So what were the discussions with transit?
no, I just said, what's happening to the train station, who owns it? Just asking questions, is there any other towns that revitalize their train stations? Basically, just looking to gather information. And they're pretty
Because you
forthcoming.
understand that something like that should go through the Public Works? Because we already...
No, I actually emailed them as a resident. See, I'm on the council, full disclosure, but I'm emailing as a resident. I just
Yeah,
didn't
you
know.
are a resident, but you're a borough councilman now. You represent the borough.
Yeah, well, I was just
Right.
asking questions. I don't think asking questions and asking
Because
for
you
answers is,
understand, we have a discussion with transit right now, we don't want them to get
well, it's not,
curtailed.
there's no evidence of it, obviously, so and if they had this going on, why did they tell me that? I mean, it's like they said, no, we're working with people, they said, oh, come out and meet you guys.
I just hope our plans don't get curtailed now.
And we actually met with them Wednesday with transit, and.
Oh, you did? Good.
Yeah, we met with them Wednesday, so, they agreed to give us the permission to do the lot and part of the curbing, and we're looking at an August pave date, and we don't have an exact date yet because, we have to check with our ridership, and we'll have to, I guess, move a few of the people parking around. And it's probably gonna be a 2-day project, and of course, we'll go through the Morris County Co-op.
So those discussions went on for a couple of years, you know?
Well, it's
And
interesting, because none of the 5 people there actually referenced any of those conversations.
Because they're not the right people.
Do you know who they were? Do you
That's
have
the
their names?
problem.
Yeah, the list is public.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
could we
Had
get
you
a copy?
attended, like you said you would have known.
I know,
Those discussions should go through
but
the public
sometimes, you know,
works.
Well, John and Doug were there, because they were hoping to get flaggers, and I think they did for the,
I don't,
we got the flaggers on
they
Wednesday.
weren't at the meeting on Monday.
Yeah.
They were.
How were they invited?
I said, if you guys were meeting them, it's a public meeting, put them in the bubble. I said, if you
Okay.
guys are interested in coming, you're welcome to come.
I didn't know we do borough business on the bubble.
No, I said, put it in the bubble, so it was happening. It sounds like you guys are very upset about this. It's just, we
It
made
sounds like
great
it's a
progress.
political game, and we don't
It's
like
not a
that.
political game, it's getting
Yeah.
things done.
Really?
Well, things are
Well, I would
getting
like to
done.
get things done as well, but I mean, I only found out about the meeting maybe 2 or 3 days in advance of
Right.
the actual meeting. I didn't hear of any of the outreach that was being done, and I happened to be on vacation, so if I had any input, I would have requested that the meeting be scheduled at a day that I wasn't
Well,
out
it's
of
the fact that
town.
they, 5 people can then get out to us, it's like, just take it if we can get it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know how long we put off to. Again, this is just coordinated, this whole. like,
No, it's not
line of
It's
questioning.
not coordinated,
No,
but
it's
I
just-
am
I-
concerned that I only found out about the meeting a couple days in advance, when it obviously was in the works for longer than that.
Right.
Um,
And I'm concerned that we have discussions as a public works, and I don't want that to get screwed up. It's taken almost 2 years to get moving forward with it.
Sounds like it did, though. It sounds like it did move forward.
It's not done yet, is it?
I don't think it moved forward necessarily as a result of the Monday meeting, because there was a Wednesday meeting that was previously scheduled anyway. And when I came on the council, I think there was outreach to Ralph Maresca. We asked about the history of the plan. We talked about whether or not the paving was going to be within the borough budget this year. And I actually have an outline of information that I was told verbally previously, but which Doug Walker put into an email talking about, like a year's worth of work that's gone into this as well. So it's not that I don't think nothing was being done, and it's not that I would say that it doesn't hurt us to be proactive in our outreach to them, but I also think we should be coordinated in our communications with an outside entity like New Jersey Transit and make sure that they're not getting any mixed signals from us.
I think it makes sense. I just ask questions. Just, it's simple. I honestly didn't know what to expect. I thought I would hear nothing.
Now, you advertise this on the bubble also?
Yeah, I just said, hey, we had an interesting meeting, and here's some of the
That was
information.
that was after?
Yeah,
Okay,
after the
like
information we
before
learned,
the
we think the
meeting.
public is a.
Before the
So
meeting.
from
Who
now
did the
on, we're gonna
invites?
do business on the bubble, everybody.
Well, I took the initiative to ask a question. I got some answers, and so I figured I'd share them with the residents who were affected by them.
I would propose that if we're going
And
to.
there's no state secrets there, really. It was just, it's an old building. It needs to go through SHPO. There's no money in the budget for it. It's just, but it was an interesting, at least to start communication with them, different avenues. Just like the transit one was. This is different. You got one going on. Maybe we can pull them all together, and between all of them, something will happen.
Yeah, but that one's coming through the official borough, not as Kevin Suey, as Mayor Joe Citizen. 'Cause I'm
So
not-
if
I'm the
Citizen
mayor.
did it, that'd be okay.
And like, yes.
So if Citizen did that,
You're acting
okay.
as a council
So
person.
we'll get residents fired up and have them take the point on it. 'cause
Why get residents fired up? Work's getting done.
I don't know,
You're the one who
slowly.
characterized yourself between a
Slowly.
councilman and a citizen.
I guess we can all agree that we'll keep abreast of this going forward and kind of try to be sure that we're communicating with residents as far as when the paving will happen, so they
Yes,
know to make plans otherwise.
And communicate with
But-
our
but
borough
I-
officials and employees.
Yeah, I would
So
propose
that's
that
the kind of stuff that could go on the bubble, like, or whatever, our borough website, of course, should say that the lot will be closed these dates and that
Yeah,
kind of
that'll
stuff.
be there.
But any kind of, like,
Of course, and signs will be posted, the bump outs will be removed, so it's easier to park and get through on the weekends, especially when it gets
And we
busy
also
at
have
nighttime.
the farmer's market now, so we need to make arrangements for that.
Yes,
So it will be from the end to end?
and then the whole thing. The curbing, if you notice, up near Master Shoes and the Station Pub and Grove, that'll all be removed and reset the Belgian blocks, so.
So I do think, though, that, you know, in our communication, especially with an entity like New Jersey Transit, there's value in us having a coordinated voice and having an official communication with them. We establish, you know, what the parameters are, what questions we're asking, what information we need from them, what assistance we need from them, and then communicate that information out in a
Yeah, sure.
you know, in a fully public forum, you know, broadly to everybody. This is what the borough is doing. I think that would be helpful. I believe we should operate that way, so I propose that that be our agreed approach. If everybody agrees, if anybody disagrees with that approach, you know, then let's discuss it.
And Doug Walker's been doing that, and it's reported to us publicly at a number of meetings on his
His report
progress
has
or
it
what he
every
found
month.
and what he was doing.
And I think if we're not satisfied with the speed of response from New Jersey Transit or from our own borough staff, then that's something for us to bring up and you know, probably try and address
And I
that as well.
recently addressed that. That's how we came about having a meeting on Wednesday.
Yeah. I think, you know, just to close the loop on this, we should probably make sure that whatever individuals we spoke to in New Jersey Transit on Monday and whatever new individuals we spoke to on Wednesday, if they aren't the exact same people, that we make sure that we get everybody in the loop on the discussions from both Monday and from Wednesday.
Yeah, because
So-
the guys on Wednesday didn't even know. People were out there for transit on Monday.
Really?
So, yeah.
All right.
And that was the official borough meeting with transit, so.
Unbelievable.
All right. Anything further,
You know-
folks, before we go into closed session?
Correspondence, I saw an email regarding Bernards Avenue, I think it was a complaint that came in, and I just want to give you a little background so that you don't have to, you know, stop calling people or put it on the bubble.
Maybe we'll get done.
Yeah, so the problem with Bernards Avenue is when we did the bonding in 2011 and 12, Bernards Avenue was in good shape, so it wasn't put on our list, because the way we did it was we ranked, the engineering group ranked the roads and the worst roads we did. And then we did a yearly mill and paving. But most of the worst roads also got drainage and curbing. And Bernards Avenue wasn't on it. It was in okay shape back then. The ranking number was probably in the middle of the list. So it wasn't put on there for bonding money. Over the past couple of years, it's deteriorated substantially. I mean, there's one part where it's absolutely flat and it's peeling up right now. We didn't have any money in the budget for this year for this road because the cost of this road, and it's very complicated, and I'm going to tell you why, is because there's a light commercial area in the back, so there's heavy trucks and dump trucks constantly go on the road. There's plans that were put in place a while ago for this road, but we never implemented them. They must be more than 10 years old. That includes curbing, sidewalks, drainage, and lighting for that whole stretch of Bernards Avenue. It was never implemented back there because of the cost, and also the residents that lived on the street at that time did not want sidewalks, curbing, and the other issue on that street is people park on their front lawn, which complicates the issue even further. So I'm not going to be here next year, but this road is probably going to come out into discussions next year. So it's very complicated. And you're going to have to make the decision if you're going to put sidewalks there. The other problem, too, is where the sidewalks would go is the telephone poles. So it's very expensive to move telephone poles to the other side of the street. So that's not, so it's really,
Right up to the curb line.
yep, a curb line, and then you're going to have to tell people, you're going to have to decide, are you going to have one side of the street parking, but then you're going to have a lot of dump trucks and commercial vehicles go down the street. So it's very complicated, and you're going to have to put a good plan together really to fit the neighborhood for this road.
So as long as we're talking about this road, I'd like to bring up another subject which was brought to my attention by residents of that road as well, which is that they feel that the speed on that road, that the traffic speed is generally much higher than is safe for the residents. So in this more comprehensive look at what we're going to do about it, I think we also need to discuss about what's an appropriate way to ensure that there's safety on the street for the residents and especially the children in that area and other
Yep.
walkers.
The police are in the process of doing that now.
Yeah. evaluating
On
Bernards Avenue.
Thursday, we talked about
Yeah.
that, because they have a way to track that.
Yeah, they have.
They're-
They
they've
put the
been
strip
doing-
down and they
Right, so,
count the number of vehicles and speed of vehicles.
it's not a strip anymore, so people don't know.
Okay.
So there's probably some good data that they're gonna get as far as,
Okay.
you know,
Excuse me, they can track the speed?
Yeah.
They must have two in there.
Speed and number, yeah.
so they'll get,
Excuse me, there's a lot of roads we should be doing that with,
They're-
like Mullins,
Yeah.
that's on there, you know.
Claremont,
We used it actually on Old Fort, when remember we did Old Fort.
Yeah.
And people were
going by
concerned
your
about
house,
the
Jeff,
traffic.
people try to get air.
Oh, yeah. Wait till it gets paved, there'll be a superhighway.
But that's only tracking, it's not giving tickets or anything.
Exactly.
You
Not,
know what, I mean, what it would do is,
Yeah.
give the police, okay, hey, these
Here's your
are,
information.
yeah, these are bad roads.
and then they'll know when and where to enforce at the
yep.
best times.
Yep.
What complicates Burns Avenue more is the light construction area in the back. There's vehicles all the time going down there.
Right.
Landscape vehicles, dump trucks, tandems,
Yeah, that'll wreck your
and it's a
road.
residential area. But what are you gonna do? That's the way it was. It was
And we-
zoned that way years ago.
We ran into that problem, that's why we reinforced round top, because the vehicles would pull, the landscaping trucks or delivery trucks would pull to the side of the road and they start breaking up the,
And the other
blacktop
problem
in
is
here.
the residents on the lawn, parking on the lawn.
yeah.
Because if
Well,
they have to
that's
park
been-
on the street, and if there's only one side of the street parking, there ain't gonna be enough room.
Right.
There's not gonna be enough room for parking. Some houses have 4 or 5 cars because they're rentals, so there's 4 or 5 cars in each house. That's the other thing, there's a lot of rentals through there, so there's a lot of cars. So that's your problem next year, not mine.
Well, what I wanted to ask about
Here,
is,
let me hit you in the
But the plans are in place. You don't have to do the design.
once the police come back with that data, then maybe
Yeah.
at the next meeting, we can follow up about
Yeah, we'll give
any types of steps we can take in the immediate term.
yes.
You know, whether it's a matter of stepped up enforcement or some kind of education that goes on for the, you know, the people who seem to be the culprits, because you mentioned the one business at the end of the road, so, you know, I don't know what their employee turnover is like, but it could be just a matter of letting the business owners know that their trucks need to obey the speed limit.
I think it's the weight of the vehicles too, actually.
You can hear it.
Well, the
Yeah.
combination,
Yeah.
I mean,
And there's a lot of holes in the streets, so you hear the ba-boom, ba-boom, the banging. You know.
so I don't think, I mean, I think we should keep on top of it, but know that the police are already addressing the residents' concerns in that area.
All right, anyone else before we close? I see none. I'll entertain a motion to move into closed session to discuss personnel matters and property acquisition. Do I have a motion?
I just want to provide a Mount Laurel too.
And Mount Laurel, okay.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Sullivan. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. All right, folks.